They said they'd never last. They said Harry and Meghan wouldn't survive outside the palace walls, wouldn't thrive without the royal machine propping them up. But what they didn't count on was resilience. What they didn't factor in was authenticity, commitment, and the quiet storm that has become Archewell Productions. And here we are again, family. Welcome back to Royal Sussex Squad, where we lift up the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, tell the truth and call out the nonsense that the tabloid press won't stop pushing. So pull up a seat, get comfortable, and let's talk about this so-called Hollywood source drama swirling around Harry and Meghan's Netflix project, Meet Me at the Lake. Now let's get one thing straight right out the gate. Page 6 wants us to believe that just because the Sussexes haven't sent out press releases or allowed the gossip hounds to leak every stage of their creative process, that somehow they're doing nothing. That the project is on ice. That their Netflix deal is about to fizzle out into oblivion. But let me ask you this. When have Harry and Meghan ever done things the traditional way? Let's take a look at the facts. In August 2023, Harry and Meghan announced that they'd secured the rights to Carly Fortune's hit novel Meet Me at the Lake, a project Archewell Productions would develop for Netflix. That announcement alone sent shockwaves through the entertainment and literary worlds. A top-selling romance novel, a young couple escaping their trauma. A story about grief, rebirth and healing. Sound familiar? Of course it does. It echoes Harry and Meghan's own journey, escaping an institution that tried to define and confine them, searching for peace, privacy and, yes, purpose. Meet Me at the Lake was never just a paycheck or a publicity grab. It's a project rooted in emotional truth, a story with soul. A story that resonates deeply with the very reasons Harry and Meghan walked away from the monarchy in the first place. And now the same people who've been crying wolf about irrelevance are screaming because there's no casting announcement, no director, no press tour for a film that's still in development. These folks don't know a thing about how film production works, or worse, they do know and are choosing to ignore it just to spin a narrative that the Sussexes are lazy or failing. Let's pause here and really unpack that, because this isn't just about a film delay. This is about discrediting. This is about control. The British tabloid press and their extended Hollywood gossip machine have spent years trying to twist the Sussexes' every move into a spectacle. And when Harry and Meghan decide not to feed them, when they choose silence, intention and strategy over chaos, that silence becomes their weapon and the press can't stand it. Let's talk timing. It's been nearly 2 years since the rights were acquired, and yes, that's a long time in the world of clickbait and 24-hour news cycles. But for actual production? For the kind of careful, high-quality storytelling that Archewell is becoming known for? 2 years is a blink. We're talking about rights acquisition, development meetings, finding the right screenwriter, working through the details of adaptation. And when it's finally time to shoot, then come the casting announcements, location scouting, production schedules and, yes, post-production for global release. Netflix content isn't slapped together in a TikTok studio. It's built brick by brick. Now let's address that Netflix deal everyone loves to harp on. Yes, the original exclusive contract between Harry and Meghan and Netflix may be coming to a close. But here's what the critics won't say. Netflix wants more Sussex content. They see the numbers. Harry and Meghan, the documentary series, smashed viewing records. Heart of Invictus showcased powerful storytelling rooted in service and sacrifice. These weren't vanity projects. They were deeply personal, highly polished and globally impactful. So now we're hearing whispers about Harry and Meghan possibly transitioning into a first-look deal like the Obamas have with Higher Ground. And let me tell you, that's not a downgrade. That's elevation. That's freedom. That's respect. It means Netflix still wants them. It means Archewell Productions will have the space to produce for other platforms too, if they choose. It means they're being treated like creative professionals, not gossip fodder. But that doesn't stop the shade, does it? You've got sources whispering to page 6, questioning whether these projects will see the light of day. You've got entertainment writers who couldn't produce a lemonade stand trying to critique a production company still finding its rhythm. And you've got royal experts who haven't read a script in their lives, trying to cast doubt on two people who've already delivered more meaningful content in 3 years than the monarchy has in 3 decades. Now let's pivot to the Africa documentary briefly mentioned in the report. We've heard that Archewell has long been nurturing a project about conservation efforts in Africa, one of Harry's greatest passions. But according to these critics, if we haven't seen a trailer yet, it must be dead. Again, ignorance or willful distortion. Either way, it's insulting. What they don't understand, what they refuse to understand, is that Harry and Meghan are building legacy work. Not tabloid stunts, not made-for-headline moments. Legacy. The kind of work that takes time, patience, and, yes, privacy. And let's be honest, the reason they're being targeted now has nothing to do with deadlines or contracts. It has everything to do with control, with trying to paint Harry and Meghan as failures so that the palace, the press and their critics can save face. Because if Harry and Meghan succeed on their terms, if they continue to create impactful content without crawling back to the firm, it exposes the real dysfunction inside that gilded cage. Let's not forget how the same crowd tried to tear down Heart of Invictus before it even aired, only to be silenced by the dignity and power of the final product. Let's not forget how they mocked archetypes, only for it to top charts globally and spark real conversation around identity and gender. Meghan's podcast was so successful it scared people into silence. This whole meet me at the lake non-story is just another lazy attempt to control the narrative, but we see it for what it is, a desperate attempt to keep the Sussexes in a box they've long since outgrown. So let's end this by flipping the script. Let's talk about what is happening. Harry and Meghan are parents raising their children away from the spotlight, showing the world that peace is possible outside the palace. They're advocating for mental health, veterans' support, women's rights and racial justice. They're producing content with depth, not just drama. And when they speak, people listen. And when this film does drop, when Meet Me at the Lake finally streams on Netflix or wherever it lands, you can bet the same voices criticizing them today will be the first to write about it, the first to analyze every frame, and the first to eat their words again. So to our community here at Royal Sussex Squad, let's stay loud, let's stay proud, and let's keep uplifting the truth. Harry and Meghan don't owe anyone timelines. They owe themselves integrity. And that's exactly what they're delivering. Page 6. The Sussexes have made no moves to adapt Meet Me by the Lake in 2 years. In August 2023, author Carly Fortune confirmed a rumour which had been circulating at the time. Netflix purchased the rights to her novel Meet Me at the Lake, with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex attached to produce the project through Archewell Productions. As of this moment, the film adaptation has gone nowhere. I don't even think any screenwriter has been hired to adapt a script. There's no casting or director attached, nothing. A Netflix executive did cite Meet Me at the Lake as one of the Sussexes' upcoming projects back in February of this year. But again, there's been zero news and zero movement on this. Now, page 6 has a Hollywood source questioning if the book will ever be adapted. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's remaining Netflix projects may be on ice as their exclusive multi-million-dollar deal comes to an end, page 6 is told. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex announced with great fanfare back in August 2023 that they were producing a film adaptation of Carly Fortune's hit romance novel Meet Me at the Lake for the streamer. But we're told Archewell Productions has yet to hire a director, or come anywhere close to picking a cast. Netflix is believed to have paid out around $3 million for the rights to the book for the duo to produce. By this point, you would have thought they would have got a director on board and a cast. So, what is the delay? Asked a Hollywood source. And when you make something for Netflix, it takes a long time for it to actually hit the streamer. There is so much to do in post-production to make sure it's ready for every country. If the deal is up this year, then when is this film going to be made? The couple were also working on a documentary set in Africa, albeit without Harry, 40, or Markle, 43, appearing. This too may be on the back burner. What's the betting that neither of these projects will see the light of day, said a source in the know. As page 6 previously reported, the Sussexes' Netflix deal will end this year, and the couple may move to a first-look contract like President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle's production company, Higher Ground, has. This week, sources were quick to tell us, however, that there will be more TV shows from the renegade royals. From page 6. You all don't want to hear what I have to say, so I'll mostly just keep my mouth shut. But 2 years is a long time for absolutely nothing to happen to a project which was hand-delivered to Harry and Meghan. Granted, the Sussexes like to release completed projects, so it's possible they've been moving quietly in pre-production, or that they're having issues finding a screenwriter or something like that. But there's absolutely nothing to indicate that there's been any movement for the past 2 years. From the outside looking in, it seems like the property is just sitting there untouched. I'm also curious about Harry's Africa documentary, because we've heard rumours about that for years and then nothing. They could clear a lot of this up with some public statements about it. If you appreciate the work we do to cut through the noise and stand up for what's right, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to help us keep bringing you bold, honest content, please consider supporting the channel through Super Thanks. Every donation helps us keep shining a light through the fog. Until next time, stay unbothered, stay sharp, and stay Sussex Strong.